Welcome to Auntie Mel Mel Life Unfiltered, the podcast where we say the things everyone else whispers, feels, or pretends they're totally fine about. Around here, nothing is too awkward, too messy, or too, oh my god, did she really just say that? Yes, I did. This is your space where real talk, real stories, real emotions, and the kind of honesty that makes you laugh, cry, and heal a little. Sometimes all at once. So grab your drink, get comfy, and let's dive in. Because life's too short to sugarcoat it, and I'm not here to do that anyway. Welcome to Auntie Mel Mel Life Unfiltered. Let's get into it. Hey friends, before we start today's episode, I want to take a moment to share a content note. This episode includes discussions around suicide, addiction, and mental health that may be heavy or triggering for some listeners. Please take care of yourself while listening. If you need to pause, skip the episode, or come back to it later, that is completely okay. And if you or someone you love is struggling, help is available. You are not alone. Hey friends, welcome back to Auntie Mel Mel Life Unfiltered. Today's episode is one I'm really excited about because we're talking about mental health from both sides of the couch, the professional side and the lived very human side. My guest today is Chris Morgan. Chris works in the mental health field as a certified peer recovery supporter, which means he supports others using not just his training but his lived experience. And I love this perspective because it reminds us that people helping are human too. Chris, thank you so much for being here. Before we jump into the deeper stuff, let's start easy. Tell us a little about you. Who is Chris outside of work?
Oh, hey. Hello, everybody. I'm Chris.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Outside of work, I'm kind of a goofball. I've been told I'm a walking cartoon character more than once.
That's great. I like that.
I don't know. I kind of live life under the term "What's life with a little whimsy." So you got to kind of keep it light, but know when to be serious at the same time.
Right, yes.
I'm a musician. I sing.
Okay.
I'm not very good at playing guitar. But I have a lot of musician friends who are impeccable at
That's
playing the
awesome.
instrument they look at.
Right. That's great. Yeah, I'm big into music. My husband and I go to Incarceration every year. He was a metal drummer for years, is actually trying to start another band right now. So I definitely have been in that lifestyle and know what it's like myself. So
Awesome. I went to Inc. the last 2 years.
Oh, did you?
Last year I was volunteering for the Demons Behind Me crew.
Okay, yeah.
I was working for their nonprofit Demons Behind Me Foundation. And that's
That's
how I
awesome.
met a couple people who I've been doing some freelance work with now for Corey Taylor's nonprofit, wearettf.org.
Oh, that's amazing. That's awesome. I actually had my cousin on here to talk about her sobriety story, and Corey Taylor is a big influence on her and some of that she looks up to in the metal community. And that's something I'm trying to break with my podcast too. There's so much stigma around the metal community. You know, everyone thinks they're just a bunch of jerks, and no, most of them are the kindest people ever and use their experiences to help heal everybody else. I find concerts as therapy personally. It helps me, yeah, a lot. So.
Absolutely. And just the environment being there. I don't know if this was also your experience, but the the energy in the pit has kind of changed a little bit
Mhm.
over the years. I remember going as a kid, it was a little bit more angry, a little bit more
Mhm.
angst just to get that
Yes.
out. Now it's a lot more focused on the mental health. Even the acts are very open about it, and
Yes.
it's palpable among the
Yes, it
crowd.
is.
It's something that everybody has come to really embrace. I think is wonderful.
Yes, absolutely. I feel that when I'm there, and I've spoken to a couple of people about that, and that's how we all feel. It's just a big open, welcome community. Everybody can be who they are and feel comfortable. And, I love seeing the parents with their kids, taking them and showing them, getting them started at a young age. So that's always fun to see too.
Man, when I was younger, you didn't see the 8, 9.
No.
It's crowd surfing like, oh,
Yeah.
that
Right.
was awesome.
It is. Our generation is changing how that is, and I love it. So, what's something people might not be or might be surprised to learn about you?
Oh, well, I'm a not like a typical dude. I'm very sensitive when in comparison to the male archetype and stuff like that. I'm very open with my emotions. I'm very open to talk about them. No topic is taboo for me. Uh, And I think that's a good thing. I think all of us should be like that. I think more along the lines of the male demographic, because with just speaking military alone, you got 22 people a day who are, you know, not with us anymore.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's because that stigma that still, like you said, hangs over mental
Mhm.
health and the talk about these tough
Yes.
subjects. We need to start looking at it. Not that I'm the dude, but just that's kind of my way of looking at it is I'm more open because more people need to be.
That's awesome, and that's one reason I'm doing this and why I'm so open with my background and my stories because I want people to know they're not alone. You are enough, and, there's so many people here that are feeling what you're feeling, and it's okay to talk about it, and like you said, it is kind of a stigma for men to show that emotion, and that's great that you are open to be vulnerable and share your experiences and help others, so that's wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of things that I can kind of pitch back to them to get some connection and stuff. That's what peer recovery support's all about, is using your lived experiences to connect with people so they don't feel alone.
Right. That's amazing, and that's great. I'm so glad that we have that, and it's becoming more, mainstream and more welcoming. When we were kids and stuff, nobody talked about their feelings. If you had any kind of mental health issues, you were looked down upon. So I'm very glad that things have changed. So it still needs some work, but we're getting there. So
Baby steps are still steps. We're heading in the right.
absolutely. Yes. Well, let's talk about what you actually do because certified peer recovery supporter might be new to some of our new listeners. Can you explain what a certified peer recovery supporter is in your own words?
Yes, certified peer recovery support. We're everywhere. It's not just mental health. It's not just
Mhm.
substance use disorders. We advocate on Capitol Hill. We integrate people who have been in long-term care facilities and the prison systems, back into society. We get them job placements. We resume building, facilitate groups. That is endless what we can do. But the main power of that is using your lived experience to connect. In order to even be a certified peer recovery supporter, you have to have lived experience with substance use disorder and mental health disorders. That's one of the prerequisites. So they're really trying to get people who are non-clinical to be
Mhm.
on the ground with individuals and more or less guide them through their journey as a peer.
That's awesome. That's great. I love that they have to have experience, because, you kinda have to have lived through some of that to understand what people are feeling or what they want to keep in or try to get stuff out of them. If you've never experienced anything like that, you may not be as understanding or, be able to help them as much. So that's amazing that that is a career and that they're, becoming more prevalent in the mental health community and recovery. That's very important.
It absolutely is. It It's becoming more prominent, and you're seeing a lot more peer run facilities
Mhm.
and programs coming up. But it's also one of the programs, mental health in general, is one of the programs that's been defunded and been getting cut historically for a very long time.
Mhm.
And my new challenge is trying to generate some funds and put some boots on the ground with people that have a like mind to put money back into the system
Right.
any way we
Yes.
can.
Yeah. Yeah. That's unfortunate. I mean, there's so much stuff that we could get into on that subject, but yes, it's unfortunate that things that actually matter and help us grow and, that show that we're human and help people heal are being defunded and taken away. And yeah, this world is not the best right now. So we're living in a scary times, but it's important, people like us or what you do, to still try to be there through all the tough times because things are going to be tougher. People's mental health is going to get worse and it is getting worse. So it's unfortunate.
Yeah, a lot of that has to do with our environment and the things that are going
Hmm.
on around us and the polarity between what's going on. A lot of people
Yes.
are getting sucked into it. So stepping back, taking a look at the big picture,
Right.
what's what's really happening.
Absolutely. And that's important. People need to step back, kind of take a moment, think about it a little more, but we can't expect everyone to do that. So unfortunately, that's where we're at. So what does your day-to-day work look like?
Okay. I've recently took on a new role as a
Okay.
case manager in behavioral health. I currently work at a nursing home, working
Oh,
with
okay.
the geriatrics and the dementia, schizophrenia, schizoaffective, um, working with them on a daily basis and trying to make their lives comfortable. And with coping skills, getting through mental disorders, depression, anxiety, so that they can live a healthy life and potentially even discharge from the facilities.
That's amazing. I have a very soft spot for the elderly and working with the elderly. And as a teen, I helped my mom take care of my grandma. She had 7 strokes in a row and went through different facilities and stuff like that. So I kind of have firsthand experience with that. And that is very important. And I think a lot of people don't realize the older community doesn't have a lot of support with that and all the stuff that's on their brain and mind. And they grew up in a time where it wasn't okay to talk about, so I'm sure they're scared and ashamed to talk about things, so that's great that you're there for them.
Yeah, the roadblocks that you meet in that arena in the nursing home facility.
Mhm.
I have clients that are 44 all the way to 92.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And when they're there because there's individuals who either don't have the resources or the ability or capability to take care of them on the outside. So a lot of people, when they get in there, their mental health and stuff decline.
Mhm.
And I see it all the time and it breaks your heart.
Yeah. That's absolutely heartbreaking. That's why I personally could never work day to day in that type of environment, but I do try to volunteer when I can or, make people aware, like, because they are alone. And like you said, a lot of times families will just put them in there because they don't know what to do. They don't have the resources to help them. They have their own lives and then they're kind of left on their own and it's really sad. So I'm very thankful for what you do. That's amazing that you work with them. We kind of already talked about this a little bit, but why do you think live experience is so powerful in recovery and mental health support?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that. Um, Lived experience is like the epitome of education. You can read anything, you can educate yourself all you want, and that's wonderful. You should do
Mhm.
that. That is definitely something you should do. But unless you have the lived experience, you don't know how another person ultimately feels when they're in that deepest, darkest moment. I have my mental health first aid uh, recovery certification as well. And that's one of the things that you talked about in mental health first aid is you're responding to somebody who's in crisis,
Right.
who's who's potentially talking about completing suicide. So you have to be able to meet them where they're at. And somebody who doesn't know that pain, doesn't know that darkness, and hasn't shook hands with the devil, so to speak, won't understand. They won't know how to connect and pull them out,
Right.
even if they're trying their best. So that experiential knowledge will always trump out.
Yeah, that's very important. That's a very valid point, and like we kind of talked about already, if you have an experience that you truly don't know how to help them, you haven't been at the lowest or you haven't went through what they've gone through. There's so much with mental health and addiction, everyone going the withdrawals, everything that brings, all the shame and pain that they're feeling, and if you hadn't lived that, you don't know what that's like. So,
That creates the stigma and the judgment that comes along with that sometimes.
mhm.
People who
Yes.
look back and it's more damaging.
Oh, absolutely. I haven't done a episode yet on my own experience with addiction and the people closest to me, but I will do one in the future. But I do know how that is, and I have people in my life that have always felt like the black sheep and been looked down on because they did go through things and nobody ever helped them. They just judged them instead of helped them, and that's the wrong way to go about it. So because that makes it worse, and that unfortunately does make a lot of people take their own lives because they feel like they have nobody or they keep living in that lifestyle because they think, why not? Nobody cares about me anyways, or nobody wants to help me. So it's unfortunate. So I'm so thankful that you do what you do and that you have the experience to understand what they've been through.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's one misconception people have about peer support?
Misconception that we're enabling them. I heard that more than just from people who didn't know that because you have to have lived experiences. So
Mhm.
I heard a lot of times in Stark County where I was the last time. I was on the reintegration coalition trying to get, working with parole and the social services in the county to create programs for individuals, like I said, getting out of long-term
Mhm.
care facilities and the prison system. And I got called a lot of different things from people who were seeing me work.
Yeah.
Just even walking, sitting in McDonald's, meeting a client because they were taking a break and they needed someone to talk to for a minute, thought I was there enabling them
Oh
because
my
they knew the
goodness.
person.
Yeah.
And I'm just, that's not helpful. It's not
No.
helpful at all. It's going to perpetuate the disease.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's horrible, and I had a feeling that might be what it was. People think that, it's you're not, a therapist. Well, you are in your own ways, but not a psychologist or a doctor, things like that. But as we said, lived experience is honestly more helpful in a lot of situations because you know exactly what they've been through. So,
Now, some of it is the history of the clients.
right.
When you can't deny that there have been some things, some
Oh, yeah.
behaviors in the past they're trying to put behind them, but
Mhm.
the rest of society isn't really privy to let us do that when we're trying to turn
Right.
over that new leaf. We hold on to those stories to justify our own anger, our own hurt, and that's how we do it. So when we see
Yeah.
somebody trying to better themselves, it could be that we just don't feel we have the capability ourselves, or we're not we'll always have that burned image of them. Our schema's been updated.
Right. Yeah. That's a big part of it too. A lot of people don't want to change their perception or like you said, they have their own demons that they're fighting that they haven't dealt with and they project it onto other people's situations. So yes. One of the reasons I really wanted you on this is because this work is personal for you. When did mental health become personal in your own life?
Since the beginning, my earliest memory, one of my core memories, was when I was 4 or 5. I want to say it was 5, but was when I found out my father commit suicide. At the time, I didn't know. I was told that he was shot.
Mm.
So fast forward to when I was going through the abuse that I went through. My abuser decided one of the things, his mental warfare was, oh, your father didn't kill him, didn't get shot. He killed himself
Oh
in
goodness.
between
Yeah.
bats of the abuse. So I learned at a very young age by looking at the devil in the face what I wanted to be, and it wasn't that. And I learned how I felt, and I wanted to change it. And it was a lifelong battle for me. And
Mhm.
but only reached the recent few years that I actually got a grip on it. But
Right.
it was a lifelong battle, and it became very important, but not having answers or the support that I needed to get it done. And then when I
Yeah.
finally did, I'm just grateful that I am where I am, and I am grateful for the things that happened to me because it gave me that knowledge. And now I've got every arrow in my quiver that I need to do what I got to do.
Oh, yes. Thank you for sharing that. I'm so sorry that you had to go through that. And it is important. Some people may think it's weird when we all say that, but like I'm grateful for the things that I went through as well. It made me who I am, makes us stronger. It's unfortunate that we did, but as you said, you turned that into wanting to help others, wanting to not be that person, wanting to be the opposite of what you went through and had to deal with. So that's amazing that you took that and of course, it's going to take time and you're going to have setbacks. You're going to have struggles. Like, none of us are perfect. It never fully goes away. We're all always have to work on ourselves. So, what has it been like navigating your own mental health while supporting others?
A challenge is always a challenge, and it's not just indicative to me. It's for anybody. If it was easy, we would all be doing it.
Mhm.
Um, but the challenges that I went through almost took me out. And now as a father, um, that was the real big precursor for me, is that I needed to make a change. I've been sober for 17, almost 18 years now.
Oh,
Uh, I
congratulations.
st- Thanks. I stopped drinking as soon as my son was born. I stopped that lifestyle. For the most part.
Mhm.
uh, it took me a little bit to get used to it. So of course there were some bumps in the road, me trying to
Oh, yeah.
figure out who I was without the party life,
Yeah.
being in a band and everything. So Uh, but getting back to it, that's what really changed me. What really opened my eyes ultimately was my kids and wanting to be that example. And it didn't always work.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Amazing for you to share that. I mean, yeah, of course that's always going to be a struggle, but that's great that you learn you're going to be a father, you wanted to be better and you try to. And like you said, living in that party life is hard, especially in like the band scene that's always going on. So that is really hard to be around that and not have everything right available to you. Also, an episode I did with my cousin on her sobriety, alcohol is so easily accessible. You can get it
Yes.
anywhere. And
And
it's
socially
so yeah.
accepted.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
the
yeah,
big
that too. Yeah. So I'm a big advocate for medical marijuana, recreational marijuana. I personally, it's not for everybody, and some people may view that as an addiction and a problem, but I think medically it's great. There's a lot of things that it helps PTSD, anxiety, people that going through cancer, different things like that. So the stigma in that, it's just that I get upset about that because alcohol is so much worse,
so much.
so horrible. So,
One of the worst, if not the worst, detoxes that I have seen is from alcohol.
oh, yeah.
It will literally kill you. Your body
Hmm.
can't function without it. There's other
Right.
drugs that are that way, but alcohol is so much worse. And like you
Yes.
said, with
Hmm.
I'm an advocate for it as well. I've watched medical marijuana save people get off
Mhm.
opiates. I've watched
Mhm.
it people who are on chemo and dialysis take it for pain and nausea. Uh,
Yes.
I mean, there are people who take it in excess,
Mhm.
but that's the wonderful part about that specific drug is that there's no known overdose to it. So that
Yes.
at least to this date that I've heard.
Yeah. Yes, that is so important. And like you said, alcohol I experienced it with my own family members, people in my life, and it's almost impossible for them to stop because the detox is so absolutely horrible and they can't go through that. So it's unfortunate. So I'm hoping to talk more about that with people and break the stigma and all of that area a little bit more. I know I'm only one person, I'm not anybody professional, but I'm just trying to, get the word out there. So yes. You kind of answered this. Do you ever feel pressure to have it all together because of your role? Like, do you feel like
Uh,
you need to be perfect because of what you do?
Perfect? No. I feel like I need to be human.
Right.
I
That's
need to,
great.
I need to be human because nobody's perfect. And if you go in there pitching that perfection to your clients or people who are in those moments in peer support, they're not going to listen to you. They don't want
Right.
perfection. They want the flawed individual who knows what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Um, and so peer support and my case management position, they're both non-clinical. So it's
Okay.
not a diagnosing position.
Mhm.
I can't give medications. I teach coping skills to help individuals get out of their funk and
Mhm.
manage the stresses of life and other disorders. So in order for you to be able to do that, you got to be human. You got to go and listen to them. Most of these people, no one's ever listened to them, which is
Yeah.
what's exacerbated the disease. So
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing. Just be human.
That's perfect. Yeah, that's great. That's very important. And like you said, no one's actually taken the time to listen to them or understand. You understand what they're going through. They feel more comfortable opening up to you and, wanting to get help. So that's great. What helped you most during your hardest seasons?
Oh, music. Humor is a big thing for me. I was saying
Yeah.
before I'm a goofball, but I kind of bounce between, clean humor and dark humor. It doesn't matter to me, but I do understand that, I have a lot of people who watch and listen, not as much as some people, but I don't want to rub some people the wrong way, but I want to be authentic to myself.
Right. Yes.
So I try to keep it classy, but if I see something that's funny and it's a little risque, I'm putting it on there. It's
Right.
gonna go
It's
because
just
it's
who
fun.
you are. Yes.
Yeah, that's who
Yes.
I am. And if you
Yeah.
meet and you don't see the watered down version of me, that's exactly what you're gonna get.
Right. Yeah, that's very important, and that's how I try to be as well, and one reason this podcast is real and unfiltered is I'm not sugarcoating who I am, I'm not hiding who I am, and a lot of us use that dark humor to cope through things, and it's just human, so we're not for everybody, so I know that going into this, not everybody's gonna like it, so
Yeah.
we're just here to help who wants to be helped, to let people know that they're not alone. And, maybe somebody never talked to somebody about what they're going through and they listen to this out of the blue one day and it helps them realize that there is options out there besides going to like a therapist or going in the hospital or committing themselves or something. They have other options. They can reach out to see people that actually lived it and experienced it themselves. So that's great. Have there been moments where supporting others brought up your own stuff?
Every
Obviously,
day.
probably with the lived experience, yes.
Every day. So it is very, in my field, they preach very adamantly about self care.
Mhm.
It is very important. And it's not just my field. It should be for everybody, but they really
Yes.
preach it in my field because we're in the trenches with individuals who are going through things that we have potentially, if you're
Mhm.
done the work, put behind you. And it
Yeah.
does bring back feelings. And even if you haven't been through it yourself, if you're just sitting in a room with an individual who's going through dementia and their progression is pretty rapid. And I've seen it with one of my clients where I gone in and 2 months have gone by and I'm just like, wow,
Yeah,
there's
that would be
a big
hard.
decline. And now they're no longer with us, bless their heart. But it happens rapidly. So you have to, and you can't say that you don't get attached to these people and you try not to, but when you're talking to them and you're empathizing and showing compassion for these individuals, that's human nature. You're going to get
Mhm.
enmeshed. Emotions are going to get intertwined, and you have to find a way to balance yourself because you can't pour from an empty cup or you risk
Yes.
putting yourself back in crisis.
Yeah, that's very important. That's a motto I say very often is you cannot pour from that empty cup. It's very important for you to take time for yourself and make sure that you're okay. I personally have beat myself up over the years. I'm an empath. I've always been the person in my family and my friendships that everybody comes to for things. I'm the eldest daughter. I have the eldest daughter syndrome. I'm the one that I take care of everybody. So I get that completely. I have been working on that myself the last couple of years, trying to know when to say no, not feel
It's
guilty
hard.
when I do put myself first and need the time to be by myself. So it is very hard, especially for someone like us that cares so much about the other people. So that was one of my next question was how to protect your mental health. You pretty much answered that for me. So thank you so much for that. What does burnout look like in this line of work and how do you recognize it?
I see this all the time, and I'm so glad you're asking this question. So, for if you're out in this field, if you're in
Hmm.
the field of mental health, even in just healthcare in general, and we'll put that big umbrella term
Mm.
over it, compassion fatigue is real. If you need to take some time off, this is why we practice self care. We deal with individuals who are human and they're
Hmm.
not exactly at that point in time always putting their best foot forward. So it takes a lot of grace doing what we do. And if you aren't taking care of yourself, then your empathy kind of drops over time.
Hmm.
And that becomes what we call, known in the industry as compassion fatigue, or poor bedside manner, whatever their term is for it. But when you don't take care of that, your care level drops. And in hospice, in the nursing homes, they see it. Even if you're
Hmm.
trying really hard to mask it, your tone, your mannerisms, the way you are, you're not present, you're not being mindful, and that oozes into your session with your clients.
Absolutely. As important as you said, healthcare in general. I personally have had experience with doctors that you can just tell that they're overworked, they're tired, they don't want to be there, but they have to as their job, and they care to help, but they're just so, it loses their compassion, it loses what they're there for, and it's sad. I think everybody in mental health and healthcare need to have some kind of outlet for themselves, and they do need to know when they need to take their breaks and everything with that because it does become too much and it does trickle into their work and can cause issues. And like you said, everybody feels that. So, that's very important. What would you say to help others or peers who are struggling quietly?
Oh, that's another good man. I like this podcast. Uh,
Oh, thank you.
you are not alone. I know it sounds cliche, but there are a lot of people out there who are like me and you who are really
Mhm.
trying to shift that perspective. And a lot of people have been hiding because fear of judgment, the stigma. You see it all the time with the arguments, with the polarity between, oh, addiction is a disease. No, it's a choice. It's like you've never walked it. And if you
Yeah.
have, and you were able to just make the choice to put it down, then more power to you. That's your path.
Mhm.
But there are some individuals who can't, and
Yeah,
it is a disease.
it
And
is.
it, yeah, being quiet about it is never the answer. And so just know that there are people out there who are really trying and advocating for you to feel comfortable enough to come out and talk about it without fear of
Yes.
repercussion or judgment. Because it's not even in the moment, it's what's after. And once
Mhm.
they get that and that stigma's placed on them and they come out and they looking great. Soon as an employer finds out that they have a drug problem or did, or an ex-felon, an ex-con, it's over. And now they're looking at being back into it again because
Mhm.
they've hit that brick wall. And it's a brick wall that's easily taken down.
Yeah. That's very important what you said. I know someone very close to me, very personal that has dealt with that. They haven't been in trouble in over 20 years, but it's still, people still think that they're that person and they don't want to give them that chance. And that's so hard. That puts them more into the depression and thinks that they're worthless because everyone keeps that stigma from that long ago, and that's horrible. And that's something I am trying to break with this. And like you said, you're not alone. Like you said, it's cliche. My sweatshirt says it. You are enough. It's very important. I'm very thankful. Sometimes I'm one of those people that's like technology. I wish sometimes we could go back to not having it at our hand all the time. But also, I'm so thankful for it for all the groups we can find nowadays, all the support you can find. Even if you want to be anonymous, you can find a group. You can reach out to somebody online. Like I'm not a professional, but if anybody ever wants to come to me, I am here to listen. Like that's important to know that there's people out there that care. And the main reason I started this is I've lost 8 babies to miscarriage, and pregnancy and infant loss is such a taboo subject. And that's one reason I wanted to start this and get it out there is because when I started sharing my story, I had so many people come to me and say, like, I never shared. Thank you so much for sharing. Let me know I'm not alone in this. So it's very important. And I am so thankful, like you said, for people like us that are willing to be vulnerable and honest and let people know that there is help. Whether any how you want to look at it, you don't have to go all the way up to a professional level. There's people out there that will listen to you. So, you're also an ambassador for the Demon Behind Me, which I love. You mentioned that a little bit with incarceration. Can you tell listeners what the Demon Behind Me organization is about?
Absolutely. I love this organization. Demons Behind Me is a inspirational clothing line who started it started with two gentlemen down in Jacksonville, Florida, who one of them has a tattoo on the back of his calf of a Grim Reaper, and the other one was making a joke, and he's like, "Why he had that on the back of his calf?" And he said that so I can always remember that I put my demons behind me.
That's great.
And a light bulb went off in his brain, and they decided to make this awesome clothing line with this brilliant message. And in the middle of that, they started their own nonprofit organization. That's
That's awesome.
a three-pronged thing, and one of them is to end the stigma of mental health. Another one is for cancer research. They have experience with loss and cancer and stuff like that. And then the third one is support for veterans and programs for them. So I was like, yeah, I got to get on board with that. I got my T-shirt and everything. And so they brought me in. I got on Indeed and filled out for a volunteer position, and they brought me in. I was like, oh, it was
That's awesome.
me and one other
Yeah.
person, the whole state. And so I felt so lucky. And then I get there and I meet them, and they're so down to earth. They're awesome individuals. They signed my T-shirt and gave me some free swag gear and everything. But they got me in for the free for the whole festival, all three
Oh, that's
days.
awesome.
I worked a certain allotted amount of time, and then we all hung out and watch some of the awesome bands together. But they also have a shirt that they got promoting from Corey Taylor's wearettf.org. And I got to meet the managing director for Corey Taylor's nonprofit. Her
Oh,
name's
that's
Mary, and
awesome.
she's a wonderful individual. Hi, Mary. How you doing? And we got to talking and stuff like that. And we got some really exciting ideas that we're trying to get some like-minded people together and maybe answer some of that stuff that we've been talking about and to kind of put some money back into the mental health field. And I wouldn't have been able to get that ball rolling and get my foot really far into the door without demons behind me. That
No.
ball started rolling because they brought me in under their wing and let me do what I do best, and that's talk to people. And it was so much fun, and I'd love to go back and do it again.
That's awesome. That's amazing. That's such a great connection. Like you said, if they would never brought you in, you would never have the next connections, the things you want to do, help bring more light to the situation and do things around mental health. So that's great. That's awesome. That would be an amazing experience. I have seen them at incarceration. I didn't really know what it was too much. I did some research once I knew we were going to be doing our podcast, but that's amazing. I know that you were in the military. That's another stigma a lot of people have. There's so much. I always feel so sad seeing all the situations, the veterans homeless on the street and everything, not getting the help that they need. This world, like we said a little bit ago, it's kind of ass backwards. But it takes people like us to try to be there and do the best we can in the times that we're in. So that's amazing.
Absolutely.
Why is advocacy and awareness so important to you right now?
Oh man, we've been talking about it this whole show.
Yeah.
Advocacy and awareness is so important because there's individuals out there who are quiet. They're silent. We
Yeah.
lose them in silence. It's the entire population, but as far as completing suicide, it's the predominantly the men.
Mhm.
And especially with the vets, you're looking at 22 a day.
Yeah,
And it's
that's horrible.
because we don't have, we're taught that you can't reach out. We're taught not to talk about these because it's a sign of weakness. And that's why
Mhm.
I big middle finger in the air to all that. It's like if you can talk about your emotions and still control who you are and be that person, that beacon in the dark for somebody else, it's like that to me is strength.
Yes,
That to me
absolutely.
is true strength. If you can sit and talk about it and look at your demons in the face and have some pancake breakfast with them and say, you know what, thanks for teaching me what you taught me. Now go
Mhm.
on. And
Yeah.
and now I'm gonna go take this information and go help somebody else fight their demons.
Yes.
That is strength.
Yes, I absolutely agree with you there. That is the definition of strength. Like I said, that's what I use. I'm not completely healed from my trauma or things that I've been through, but it's given
You
me
never
strength to
are.
talk about it and be there for others. And like we said earlier, it's unfortunate that we have to go through the things that we went through, but it did make us stronger, did make us advocate for others. And, we can understand what people are going through. We know how scary it is to reach out and feel like you're alone. So that's so important.
Or when you reach out and then when you actually finally get the chance to reach out, you're met with,
Yeah.
you're what? And that judgment. And that just drives them further into the hole.
Oh, absolutely. We talked about that a little bit ago. That's exactly what happens is people don't realize, don't say it goes back to when we were kids, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. Like you don't know what the person's going through at all.
Ever.
And being negative and nasty to them and making them feel worse about who they are and what they went through does not help at all. It actually does the opposite. It makes them retreat to their shell, their little hermit shell, and not want to talk to anybody, feel like they can't get help. It's unfortunate. So I am so thankful for what you do. I'm so glad roles like yours do exist. I'm so thankful that you came on and shared a little bit more about it. I wasn't 100% sure what it was as well, so all of my listeners can know, there's other options out there, and that's wonderful. So thank you so much. What keeps you hopeful both personally and professionally?
Oh, okay. Um, Now that I'm healed more than what I was, I have a lot clearer vision. Recently graduated college. Uh,
Congratulations.
got my undergrad in psychology, applied psychology, and this week I first started my master's program for my MSW, so I can be a trauma therapist. That's going to be
Awesome.
my next step. Um, and that's what keeps me going, knowing that there are people out there that need me and people like me uh, to help them get out of it. And I didn't have somebody like that. And growing up, I don't think a lot of people did growing up. We didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
And so now we're getting to a point where people are a little bit more open to talk about things like that. It's like we really need to have people on the ready so that when
Hmm.
they do finally open up, they're not met with judgment, stigma. They're met with care and compassion, empathy, and resources. So
Yes.
when we open up to, or we're willing to sit with somebody, it's not just, hey, I'm going to listen and I'm going to give somebody advice. You could really screw somebody up giving them bad advice. So you have to educate yourself. Um, you have to see
Right.
what's available. You have to see what you can do to help people. And if you don't know, at least you know the resources and you can give them resources and let the
Right.
people know, help them.
Awesome. Yeah, that's absolutely so true. Yeah, just being there, letting people know that you understand. Like you said, that's important too to know you may not be able to help every situation, but you have the resources or know where to look to find the right help for the different situations. So that's so important.
The other thing we've been talking about it off and on is the music.
Hmm.
I said it earlier that you can feel the vibe in the crowd, and that is my hope. Is
Yeah.
it is palpable. You can almost just grab it out of the air. You can see how people are treating each other now. Just it's always been if somebody falls in the pit, you pick them up, but
Hmm.
now there was never that safety factor there where individuals could surf with their kid on
Right.
their chest and
Yeah.
everything. It's like people are very more aware of what's going on
Hmm.
around them. And I think that awareness is what's bringing that conversation to the surface and people are accepting of it. And that gives me so much hope. And if we, especially with some of the ideas that I want to do with some of the individuals that I'm going to hopefully do it with.
That's awesome. That is so important. And like I said, music is such an important thing for me personally. And I'm trying to bring it into this podcast as much as I can, do fun concert episodes. And I did one recently with a person I went to elementary school with, and we both go to incarceration and everything as well. And it went to that subject. And I'm so glad that it did. Like, as we get older, I think concerts become, like we said, more therapy. And as you said, things are changing. You can feel it. Like you said, you can feel it in the air. There's something electrifying in the air. It is healing for everybody. You know that you are part of that community and that if you need somebody, they're there for you. And it's amazing that the music community is going in that direction, specifically rock and metal. Like we said, a lot of people have such stigma on that, but a lot of these artists come out before they even perform and talk about their own mental health and they
And that
share
is
and are
wonderful.
advocates. So yes, it is. It's amazing. So I totally support you on what you're doing and I hope that big things come out of it. So yes, awesome. So now that we kind of went through all the serious stuff, I like to end with some rapid fire questions, just kind of like this or that, just some fun things to lighten up the mood a little bit. So, are you a coffee or a tea person?
I love coffee. Blacker the better.
Coffee. Yeah. You like hot coffee? Or it doesn't matter?
Uh, Personally, I want to be able to drink it right then. I burn my mouth so many times. I just throw some ice in it. I'm,
No.
yeah.
Yeah. I get that. So, early mornings or late nights?
Oh, it's both.
Yeah.
I like getting up early in the mornings because I always feel like I'm getting so much done, but I am not a morning person. I need a half a pot to a pot of coffee just to uncross my eyes that early.
Right.
Then I've been the night owl, so I'm
Yeah.
more productive at night sometimes. So it's
Yeah.
just depends.
I get it. I'm a little bit of both too. I with my job and everything, I have to get up and I like working out and stuff in the morning, but I do like staying up late too. And there's just something about nighttime is quiet and I like, going outside and all those things at night especially. So a small habit that supports your mental health. So I get a little bit back on mental health, but something that helps support your mental health.
Writing and singing.
That's
I'm
great.
always, I'll get something in my head, something's been bothering me, or I had a good moment or something, and I'm writing poetry and songs on Facebook. I'm that
Nice.
guy.
Yes. That's
So it's
awesome though.
you. My wall is full of it, and it's anything from anger to love to how I'm feeling about myself because I'm an open dude.
Yeah, that's important. That's great that you do that. Shows your vulnerability and it's an outlet for you. I personally, that's how I started in my pregnancy and infant loss. I just started doing a blog. I didn't care who read it or anything. It was just for me to get my feelings and emotions out. Sometimes it takes writing it down. That's another outlet that people don't realize. Like, yeah, you feel alone. You're not ready to talk to somebody. Start writing it down, or like you said, turn it into poetry or lyrics, or pick up an instrument and try to use that as an outlet as well. Something that always makes you laugh.
So my dogs and my kids.
That's a great answer, yeah.
But I can also find humor in just about anything. So it's like
Right.
I maybe it's me, but I'll find a sign that no one else thinks is funny, and it just tickles my funny bone. And I'm like, and they all look at me like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'll point it out, and they're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I get it." And I'm like, "Well,
Oh,
that's
jeez.
hilarious to me."
Right. Yeah, everybody has a different sense of humor, but that's great that you
Oh
can
yeah,
find it in almost anything. I agree with you on that, and it's important to laugh, and it's healing as well, so,
yeah.
yeah, for sure. Comfort show or movie?
Oh, both. I'm a movie buff, but I love The Big Bang Theory. That
Oh,
is my
nice.
show.
Yeah.
Like
That's a good
I'm
one.
big on movies. I've always
Yeah,
been. That was one of my things growing up. Was my escape was movies, from Dirty Dancing uh, to horror. I don't care.
right.
I
Yeah.
cry in movies.
Yeah, I understand. I'm the same way. I don't have a specific genre. I'm a huge movie buff as well. Me and my husband, I think we have 600 DVDs in storage. We went through years without internet or cable, and that's all we did. And that's when the
That's
video stores are
impressive.
still around. So we would go to a video
Mm.
store, and you can buy them when they're on
Y'all are my
sale.
kind of
So, oh
people.
yeah, oh yeah, for sure, definitely. You've already answered this, but I'm still gonna ask: music or silence when you're overwhelmed? I'm sure it's music, or maybe a little of both.
There's a time for both.
Right?
There is a
Yeah.
time for both. There's time is silence, like music to get me out of my head, but
Hmm.
silence for me to understand my head.
That makes a
Because there
lot
are
of sense.
moments where I need to make sense of my thoughts, and then there's
Hmm.
times where I need to just compartmentalize my thoughts, and it's songs are really good for that too.
Yeah, I think so. That's a good point. You need a little bit of both. Like the music can help you, but you also need time to sit with your own thoughts and process as well. One thing you do just for you.
Just for me
Mhm.
is my self-care. And I say that only because it's not understood by some of the people that are still in my life, is because they remember the old me. And
Right.
it's like the old me was not always the most selfless person. Old me was always, kind of selfish sometimes.
Mhm.
So now it's like it still looks selfish and
Right.
to the onlooker, because you're taking care of the self and mind, body, spirit, and then whatever that looks like. And it's different for everybody. But so when I take my quiet moments, or I shut my door, or I put my headphones on, or I'm watching The Big Bang Theory for the umpteenth thousandth time because I still find it hilarious, then it does come across as some selfishness because I've checked out. But
Right.
that's
Yeah.
what you have to do. You have to
Yeah.
have those moments, because if you don't have a relationship with the self, you can't have a relationship with other people.
Exactly. That's so important, and we talked about it a little bit ago, like, that's something I've been battling for a couple of years that I've gotten better with. 2025 was a good year for me on that, and making sure I put myself first, taking that time. It's not selfish, but it may seem selfish to others, and if it does, oh well, that's what you need to do, so that's how I look at it as well. So your mental health is more important, you gotta make sure you're good before you can help anybody else, and we all need those quiet alone times, so and it's not selfish, it's just being human and being real, so
Yeah.
well, Chris, thank you so much for sharing your story, your work, and your heart today. Conversations like this matter because they remind people that needing support doesn't make you weak and helping others doesn't make you immune. To anyone listening, whether you're struggling, supporting someone else, or doing both, you are not alone. If this
You're not.
episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who might need to hear it. And always, Auntie Mel Mel's got you. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Chris, so much. I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, friends, that's a wrap on today's episode of Auntie Mel Mel Life Unfiltered. Thank you for spending this time with me and stepping into the real, the raw, the messy, and the magical, because we don't do surface level here. If this episode hit home, made you laugh, or helped you feel a little less alone, go ahead and follow the podcast and share it with someone who might need it too. And remember, you are never too much, never too little, and never alone on this wild ride. I'll meet you back here next time for more truth, more feels, and more unfiltered goodness. This is Auntie Mel Mel signing off. Stay real, stay kind, and stay unfiltered.